Welcome back to my reading corner. Today, let's talk Stephen King. And I want to talk about The Stand. I finished this back in January and I have thought about it a lot. Actually, I'm glad that I didn't do a review on it when I finished it because all I thought was, I am so glad I'm done with this book. I don't have to pick it back up. Um, and the more that I thought about it, the more that I've actually come to like this. The bare bones of this story is really about good versus evil. But it's set in a backdrop where a super flu comes and wipes out 99.9% of the world's population. And we're left with the characters that were kind of immune to it and what they're doing. We meet quite a few characters actually, but there is a Mother Abigail who is calling to people, and they go meet in Kansas and then eventually end up in Colorado. But then we see one of Stephen King's most notorious villains, and that is Randall Flagg, and he is also calling to people, and they end up in Las Vegas. And so we have these two groups that are building up their populations, and it seems like it's going to come to a head, the good versus the bad. Some of the characters actually that I started out disliking in the beginning, I ended up loving at the end. It's a great story with its concept, great characters, and I think that is the best thing about Stephen King. I know that he is known as the king of horror. I wouldn't classify this book as a horror book, but the best thing about Stephen King is his character building. You feel like you really know these people. The conversations feel real. The situations that they're in feel real. The solutions feel real. That is probably the best thing about Stephen King, and it really showcases in this book. And as you can see, this is his biggest book that he ever wrote. It beats out It by just a few pages, but this is the biggest one. The negatives about it is how big it is, in my personal opinion. I feel like it drags on in the middle. It gets really slow. I was kind of making a joke when I would talk about this book that you would look at the good side. What were they doing? They were wrapping copper wire. Oh, what are they doing over on the bad side? They're wrapping copper wire, trying to get the power back. And it just seemed like it kind of dragged on. But the beginning is very fast paced. You won't want to put it down. And the end, too. I know a lot of people think that the ending of this book was his first dud. Stephen King has been notoriously known for not knowing how to end a book. But I'm not going to say that the ending was bad. I'm just going to say that it was abrupt. You have all of this build-up, and then it just abruptly ends. So I can kind of see where people would say that maybe it was bad. Again, I don't think that it was bad. I just think that it was very abrupt. And yeah, but I don't want this video to go on too long. I will say this. If you've never read The Stand, I would recommend reading it. But the thing that made me the most uneasy was reading it after everything we went through with COVID. That is what got me. Seeing this super flu, remembering the whole COVID pandemic, that's what got me. So yeah, it kind of hits different after COVID. I won't lie. I think they call it Captain Trips. Some people do within the story. So it does kind of hit a little bit different there. I did find myself getting kind of uneasy, if you want to say that, thinking about COVID, thinking about this story. But at the end of it, it is a good story. It's great characters, a little too long, but yeah, I would recommend reading The Stand at least once if you've never read it.